What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another beautiful day of the DoorDash LCO. I, of course, am your host, Mac. I'm going to be running you through all the festivities this evening because there's going to be a lot of them. There's some must-win games for some teams that are all playing for that 5th position, and there's only 3 days remaining here in the regular season. So let's have a quick look back at what happened yesterday and how Direwolves managed to make those playoffs.
He's come back, he's gone for the crab, he's going to get stunned out here, the bomb on his head again, that's lights out 2 times in a row, deja vu, stop one there for Chungy, knocking up to as well as Beats goes unstoppable for a second right now, immune to damage you'd have to say, Dracu flashing away, but Kevy soon to follow, looking for that kill, and the ultimate's there to secure it, thumbs up, lights out, double kill, it's written in the stars, the Baron is destroying them, TP comes in, it's in smite range. And a one-man petrifying gaze. Shock looks to navigate his vision denial as cleanly as can be. He's a 1-for-1 against Nectar. He takes him out! Protected by Claire, TPing in. The backup is there. Now, how many of these Baron buffs can you remove? Claire dies before, but he picks up a double on his return. Caught on that one, isn't it? Pillar into vision, into a fact of having to flash away. Now Viper has separated the team. Byro charges into 3 members. And Magnet Storm catching a place free despite the big turnaround for Legacy. It's a 1-for-1 so far. Amel could have fallen down. It's become 2-for-2. But can they find any more? He needs a shutdown and he finds the shutdown as Winter means business with the realm of death.
If Peace choose to fight this one, this is a very big moment for determining how this game goes. Fight on.
Chain of Corruption goes down and Chen instantly having to cleanse that one as he takes out Floppy. The resets are there, but how many more can Lisa find as a result? Flashing away is a bit of a disconnect from the Gravitas camp. They picked up the Dragon, but the round whoop to follow! Surprise, surprise, it's not a disengage angle, it's a double kill.
What a damn good day of games that was yesterday. A couple of very close ones and some very interesting results all across the board. Now, that brings us to yet another day. And to bring you that action, we have a couple of boys here as well. Different faces from yesterday. It is, of course, Groovy Juvie, and I don't even know who that is. What? That's Jordan? Where'd you grow that beard from, huh? It's looking beautiful. You're looking cut, trimmed, amazing.
The only reason I kept it, by the way, Mac, was because you said you liked it. So I actually kept it for you.
Mate, I'm just saying, you're looking extremely beautiful, extremely masculine.
Thank you.
And it's got me happy. It's got me excited. Jubes, how are you feeling? You're looking fresh as well.
Me, I don't feel fresh, I'll tell you that much. 4 hours sleep, battling through it. I'm vibing off you, off the energy you're giving me. And when I get the laughs in my ear from paid actors, then I feel a lot better too.
Very good. Well, I am, of course, a paid actor, and I will laugh at every joke you make this evening. That is a promise from me. Now, let's have a quick look at the standings, where we're currently sitting here in the DoorDash LCO after yesterday's games. Here you have it. 4 of the 8 teams have now qualified for the playoffs, gentlemen. 1, 2, 3, 4, Pensinet, Order, Chiefs, and Direwolves, all split up by a single win. And then in 5th position, we have the 3 viable teams that could be that 5th place in the playoffs. And it's Gravitas, Peace, and Legacy, of course. I think Gravitas has the head-to-head over both Peace and Legacy at the moment, so they have a very good chance of being that 5th team, but they also have quite a rough run in the next couple of days to make that happen. And Mammoth, of course, at the bottom, not finding their 2nd victory just yet, even with a roster swap coming into yesterday's games. But Jubes, tell me anything that you want to talk about looking at the graphic here?
I mean, the biggest one, the one that is a highlight for me is Peace being locked in that 5th place. But like you said, they do not have the head-to-head against Gravitas. Even though the run home is tough for Gravitas, I think most of their wins has come against top 5 opposition, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, there's the legacy ones in there and the Mammoth, but you know, I'd be nervous myself as a Peace fan. The one I want to touch on as well is Order, right? We said that, you know, there's an obvious upgrade with Kevy being in the jungle now, and we wanted to see how they would track this split. And I mean, 2nd place, 1 behind 1st. That's the proof is in the pudding.
It's just been doing such a good job as well, and maybe Peace just missed the boat on that one. Maybe they should have kept him and given him more of a shot than what they gave him. However, I guess we're not going to figure that one out, not until Kevy decides to jump ship from Order, and if that's even a possibility, because they've been having so much success in the Order camp. Now, Jordan, you want to touch on anything before we move along?
I mean, I think the only interesting thing for me to kind of keep in mind is that next week we do have a match between Peace and Legacy. So if for some reason, Gravitas sort of fumbles the ball. Like you say, they have the best chance of making it through. But, you know, if maybe they do lose today against the Chiefs, if they lose some of their matches next week, kind of feels like Peace and Legacy do still have their own destiny in their hands. And so that should be an interesting match when we get there, if it's still relevant at that point in time.
I guess we'll see. Now let's have a look at today's games as well, bringing up the schedule, of course. This first game is going to be interesting. Peace and Mammoth. All right, Peace need this victory. And if they cannot get the win against Mammoth, who've only got one win so far, then that means the ship may just be sinking before anything gets started. So very crucial one for them to lock down the hatches. 7 p.m, we do have Pentsnet and Order going head-to-head. 8 p.m, Direwolves and Legacy, and then at 9 p.m, Gravitas and the Chiefs. So we'll see where everyone ends up after today. Order, there's a chance that they could end up tied at the top of the table. And then down on the bottom there, you've got Gravitas and Chiefs, which is very important for both teams. I guess the same can be said for Direwolves and Legacy. Legacy need this victory more than Direwolves do just to try to continue their fight for the 5th slot. So I guess, Jubes, which are you most excited for out of these 4 games?
Can I just be honest and say that all of the games excite me because of the implication that they have on the standings. I can't remember a season in Oceanic, League of Legends, or a split in Oceanic League of Legends where every single game has mattered. When you look, from 5th place to 1st place to 2nd, it's just so tight. One game separating every single team. And even Mammoth, I mean, at this point, they just play spoilers, right? With current form of Peace, how can you bet against Mammoth to potentially, cause an upset? So across the board, it's just blinders everywhere.
Yeah, I can definitely see every one of these games having a huge pop-off performance, all the teams rather, and it being a very entertaining day. Of course, you two haven't had to cast together for about a month now, or it feels about that long. How are you feeling about this one going into today?
Well, I'm a little bit nervous because I feel like he's kind of replicating my look a little bit. And so I don't want to be known as like the budget Jubes, right? I don't want to be known as the budget one. Is he going to overtake me as the guy with like the beard and maybe like the better car? Like, I'm scared.
Just wait till I make a roll swap to jungle and overtake your elo as well, because that's going to happen pretty soon, I think.
Look, I'm all
and then you really will be budget juice.
I'm all for believing in your dreams, but some dreams should not be had. And that is probably one of them.
Oh, you think I need to aim higher, right?
I think we just need to aim in the realms of optimism and nothing else.
Well, there you have it. So, Jordan, we'll see if you can ever make that a reality. But for now, we have to quickly talk about what you guys at home are cooking up in the kitchen. Of course, it is from the fans. We got some yesterday. Got a couple of little pictures here and there sent in on the social medias. So, again, if you are looking to get your content up on stream, please feel free. We love to get it up there. And show us how you're watching the stream. Show us where you're watching the stream. Kick your feet up, kick back, take a selfie, say, I'm enjoying myself watching the stream. Take a photo of your dinner. Tell me, yes, I obviously made this on DoorDash and then got it delivered to me, because that's how DoorDash works, and you get your food and you eat it, and we love to see it. And we already have something that has been cooked up in said kitchen. So let's bring it up and have a quick look at what we've got already. It's Bronson Frat again. He put in a pretty pog meme yesterday, and it looks like he is making a bit of a prediction himself with this one, Juice.
That's quality. That's quality from the effort put into this one. And like, just to even see that picture and come up with that. Is that his first meme? Obviously, I wasn't on the show yesterday, but I think this might be his first week, right? Or not. So welcome to the meme show, my friend.
It's the first ones I remember, the very memorable ones. Yeah. And it looks like he's taken a couple of other people's in chat's jobs. So maybe we need to get Bronson that VIP because someone else is slacking. Da. What's up, Da? On point with that one, aren't we? Now, let's have a quick look at us, because there's 3 of us here and we need that 4th in as well. Nat, I'm welcoming you to the desk. Nice and early today. How you feeling? How you doing?
Good. I feel like for once I'm actually shorter than everyone else on the broadcast. So when we go back to all of us there. But I'm feeling good. Feeling a little bit better than yesterday. I was a bit sick yesterday, so...
Well, there you go. You can have the skimmy treatment, just nice and short compared to everyone else.
I feel like a normal size.
Normal size. Very good. Now, we do actually have yet another one of these quizzes. This time it's not champions, though. We are going to be doing a quiz and trying to figure out what the old items are. So items that are no longer in the game, hence removed items. And then if you can choose, or if you can say what their description was or what they did, then you get extra points as well. So let me just get this one sorted. As production, feel free to put up the first item.
The guy on the left,
Do
by
we
the
get
way.
an image? Oh,
Well, I was going to say the guy on the left is Boris. That's the shopkeeper, and his name's Boris.
sure, that's 1 point there for Jubes.
I'm just putting that out there. Oh,
Is it? I've never seen
I
that
actually
before in
don't
my
know
life.
what that one
well, I
is.
know what it is because I even named it before the show. So if you want me to pull out, I'll pull out of
Yeah,
this one.
Jubes. No, you go. You go.
Oh, it's Deathfire Grasp.
Is that really?
Yeah.
I remember the Deathfire Glass looking
Yeah.
different as well. So there must have been a world where it changed at some point.
Okay.
I think there must
Well-
be 2 icons for it.
That was impressive. Right off the bat.
I'm sure if someone Googled it, you could figure that one out. Now let's bring up item number 2 because Jubes is on the ball today, it seems.
Oh, I know that one as well.
Sword of the Divine.
Yes,
Pretty good one.
Natty.
Thank
Nat,
you.
how do you know? Did you do some research?
I did do a little bit of research
okay.
before this. I could also give you its stats if you'd like.
Oh, yes, that's the
It's
bonus point.
25 attack damage and 25% attack speed.
On the
Ooh.
active though, right?
Yep. Didn't go that
Yep.
far into the research.
Yeah.
Got confirmation from production that is correct, Nat. Great job.
Thank you.
Jubes, do you know the stats for Deathfire Grasp?
Yeah, not specific. Like it's targeted a targeted item. So you click on someone and it does like a little burst of damage, and then I believe your next ability is like amplification as well on that. Correct or not?
We'll give it to you.
I was
Says
close.
production. So, yes,
Sort of
close
close?
enough. Close
Yeah, look,
enough.
it's been a while. I'm getting old. Memory's starting to fade a little bit. In terms of esports years, like I'm as good as retired. I'm just waiting for the super to come through.
Well, hopefully it comes one day. Now let's see if the third item comes along as well. What is it going to be? Another one I don't know.
Abyssal Scepter.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that Abyssal Scepter?
Yeah.
The old
that
icon?
item was the best item, by the way.
Why? What did it do?
Okay, you put me on the. I
It
did
gave you
Give me
AP,
the stats.
and did it give you magic resist
It
as
gave
well?
you AP and then magic resist, but I don't know if it also reduced. I think maybe in the later years it reduced
Yeah.
magic resistance on the enemies as well.
When you hit them, yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's what it did.
Okay.
Or when you were near them or something like that.
Magic resist, but it didn't give AP.
Didn't give
Yeah,
you
alright, there you go.
So I'll give you half a
Half.
point for that one, Jubes. Beautiful. Now, what have we got for item number 4? Let's have a look here.
Oh, this one's the easy one.
Yeah, this is easy.
Everyone remembers this
yeah.
one.
Oh,
This was the
yeah,
best.
I have so much of an idea of what this is. Is it a spiky tail?
That's right, Mac.
Is it
10
actually?
points to Mackendor.
Well, I don't think Elfish has got one, so we may as well let him have it.
The Spirit of the Elder Lizard.
Fantastic.
Oh.
And it used to be a jungle item that would put like burn damage when you hit someone with it. And obviously, instead of it going into the jungle, it went into the bot lane. Ezreal abused that item like crazy, so they had to remove it.
Okay.
I was
well,
literally going to ask why that one got removed, but there you go.
there you have it. Do you know the stats of it, or did you?
Oh, I'm not. I mean, it would have been like some AD probably and some armor or some health or something like that, but I don't know off the top of my head exactly, no.
Okay. Well, I'll give you half a point because it was AD, but it was also 10% cooldown reduction.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
there you have it. Now, I believe we have a 5th and final item as well. Let's bring that up.
Oh, I know
Ah,
this. Yeah.
Shard.
It's no, it's
not Shard.
It's Ohm Wrecker.
yeah.
Ohm Wrecker.
It's
Yeah.
literally.
I think
Sorry.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it's Volibear ult.
Hmm.
It
Yeah,
shuts off
disables the
turrets,
towers,
puts them
yeah.
to sleep. Night.
Ah.
That's really
Funnily
cool.
enough, no one really ever used it. At
No,
least
it's
from
terrible
memory.
item. Terrible item.
Why, like,
You-
just cost too much
Well-
for what it did?
The stats like weren't that good on it,
Yeah.
and then also, like by the time you get it, 3rd, 4th item, you're diving turrets anyway,
Yeah.
and then you switch the turret off for like not long enough, and then I don't know. You just there's just better items. It just did nothing.
Yeah.
Well, what were the stats on it for the
Oh.
extra point?
So bad, you've never committed it to memory.
Was it an AP item? I feel like it
Nah,
was an AP, or
I'm
it
pretty-
was definitely tanky stats.
I'm fairly certain it only had resistance.
Yeah.
You only got like MR and armor, or not.
Yeah, maybe.
I didn't
Yeah,
even
you
like
got
30,
health.
30 armor and 25 MR. How's that for a guess?
Yeah, you got most of it. There's also 50 armor,
Oh.
cooldown reduction, and then some kind of health regen there as well, I think.
Yeah,
So
like rubbish stats.
a lot of
Wouldn't even give those stats to my
stuff.
worst enemy. Tell you that much.
a lot of stuff. So we'll give you that as a half point, Juice. It brings you to 5 points for this quiz. Jordan on 2.5, Nat on 2, and I've never seen any of those items before in my life, so I got 0.
I
which
was
is
expecting
completely
to see
understandable.
Frozen Mallet. That's one that like sticks in my head a lot.
I just want to say DFG was a scam because that was the new DFG, not the old DFG. And I thought we were doing old items. And I thought the old DFG looked a lot different. I did look it up. It did look different. It had a little skull on it. That's the one I remember. OG, by the way. Just saying.
Yeah, good on you. Good on you, Jordan. Flex your age, you old man. Now, let's have a quick look at the first two teams. Of course, it is going to be Peace taking on Mammoth. And let's talk Peace first, because they've gone with yet another roster swap coming into today. So let's see what's here. Oh, who's that over on the right side? We have Aladoric back, as well as Violet. Tally's still in the mid lane. Lisa's in the jungle, and Appy's back up top. So, Jubes, tell me if you're excited for this lineup.
I mean, I'm always excited when there's some, when Violet and Aladoric are back into the mix, because in Split 1, they were our best performing bot lane, right? There's no denying that. There's no hiding it. Obviously, some bumps in the road this split, so we saw some swaps and whatnot. But this is probably coming towards what we would deem, the strongest Peace roster. Tally, we must remember, Tally as a mid laner did go to Worlds. He was good enough to get there on Legacy last year. So when you put, I guess, these pieces of the puzzle together, maybe, and again, I'm not saying it is, but just maybe this is what they feel is their strongest roster. They're just having some tweaks, confident they'll make playoffs, and trying to find their strongest form.
Well, hopefully it works out for them. Now, let's talk the other side of the rift, of course, is going to be Mammoth. Now, Jordan, tell me what you like about this lineup. We got Zyster back in the mid lane, so no way. Looks like he has potentially retired for the split. I'd have to dig in and have a quick look into that one. But he was there yesterday in Twitch chat, at least watching on. So what are your thoughts on this lineup, Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable to be making roster changes. Zyster coming in for Wei is obviously a talking point, and I think we're going to have a coach interview with Mammoth later on that I might be able to ask them about that particular roster shift. If you want the answer as to what I like about this roster, I actually do sort of enjoy what I get from Gudo on a fairly consistent basis. I think he's pretty solid as a general rule. I feel like Nectar's been able to have some decent times up in the top lane as well. So for me, I think, Gudo and Nectar, and I'm quite interested to see what I'm going to get from Zyster. But I think now is maybe a good time actually to make that kind of roster change if you're a team that's sort of already been knocked out of contention. You're looking perhaps towards next split. You're thinking, okay, if we are going to be looking to maybe replace Wei, I don't know whether or not that's the case, but at least in the current iteration of Mammoth, it is. And if they're going to do that long term, maybe we get him a little bit of match fitness, a little bit of an LCO run under his belt before the next split, so that he doesn't come in completely fresh into whatever may come in the future.
Oh, very, very true. Now, we have to have a quick chat. Of course, it is a new patch here, 11.15, and neither of you two got to have your 2 cents into that yesterday. Do you see any of these changes in the new patch helping, aiding, or maybe affecting these teams negatively?
If I'm being brutally honest, and again, I say this because I know how good Peace can be, I don't think the problems Peace are having on Summoner's Rift are due to the patch. I don't think 11.14, 11.15 is going to make Peace all of a sudden, a powerhouse team that we knew and love. Potentially we see some niche picks that we've seen yesterday with Legacy locking in the likes of Seraphine, the Yone in the mid lane. Maybe there's I guess what you feel comfortable with, but no, in terms of dynamic, in terms of how they play the game, I don't think we'll see anything in particular.
Okay, well, we can ask the source as well, because Nat, I heard, while all this has been going on, you've got some players ready down on the sidelines.
Yes, I do. I am going to be joined by Violet and Frost. Thank you both so much for joining me. Violet, it is so nice to see you back. I want to ask you, feeling refreshed, re-energized, and I guess, how come the sub back in today?
Yeah, I'm feeling really excited to play again. It's been we just took a week and a half break, so I've been just playing solo queue, just piss chilling, and I'm very excited to play again.
I am looking forward to it as well. You say you've been doing a lot of solo queue. Does that mean you haven't really been doing a lot of scrims with the team? How comfortable and confident are you to be slotting back into this role?
I mean, to be honest, I haven't really been actually playing scrims. So in terms of most of my practice has been solo queue, but I think that's more than enough, to be honest. I think even with not much scrim practice, I should be able to win pretty easily 2v2 bot.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. For us over on the side of Mammoth, how are you guys feeling coming in today and seeing that roster swap on the side of Peace?
A little bit pressured. I mean, in my opinion, this is probably the best Peace roster. With arguably the most dominant bowling from Split 1. And also the introduction of Tally. I think this is probably Peace's best chance to make playoffs.
Who do you think is going to be the biggest threat to you guys, and what is going to be your game plan or your advantage to try and shut that down?
Probably Violet and Aladoric. And our game plans, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I like it. You got to keep some cards in the back pocket. But Violet, for you guys, what is it on Mammoth's side that you guys are probably going to be most threatened by, and how are you going to go game plan wise to shut it down?
I mean, I think their jungler, like Kudo's pretty good. Like he reads the map quite well, and he's like there most of the time when like he's there at the right time when it comes to like counter ganks and ganking. So just gotta put my trinkets down to make sure I don't die to ganks.
That's it. We want to see you to have the highest ward stats at the end of this game, you know what I mean? But I do also want to ask Frost, what has been your personal favorite moment so far of this split for yourself, not necessarily the team?
Probably my Varus arrow that solo killed Praise. That's probably it.
I love it. I was talking to the other broadcast guys before this, and I was like, I reckon he'll bring up the PGG game. So I love to hear that one is close to your heart. But Violet, what about you? For you, what has to be the best moment of this split so far for you?
I don't think there's been like a particular like stand-up moment. I think just being able to play again on stage feels really nice. I guess today is a stand-up moment for me because I'm back on stage.
There you go. Sometimes it's just the small things. But look, I will let you guys go and get ready for the match tonight. Thank you so much for joining me, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, good to hear that the players have had a good little break there, at least in the terms of the boys from Peace, and they're back again to try to prove their worth and show that they are the winning, or the key to winning and getting these final couple of Ws on the board for Peace. Now, that of course relies on the other teams as well not getting their wins. So a whole lot of these matches today are going to be extremely important. Now, let's have a quick look at our predictions, which way everyone's decided to swing in terms of what they think is going to happen. Jubes and Elfish both on the Peace train. I guess, why? Is it more so because they're going up against Mammoth here? Jubes?
Yeah, I think any iteration of the Peace roster would be favourites against Mammoth. Just, you know, they didn't fill me with a lot of confidence as well, how they played against Direwolves, particularly in the mid lane. So I want to give another chance to my boy in mid lane. And hopefully he has a pog off performance.
Okay, well, let's see if that one happens. What about you, Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. I don't really think that there is a reason to predict for Mammoth in any matchup, unfortunately. Obviously, they're a team that's kind of developing, and you can almost probably say the same thing for Peace, but, you know, Peace has got a little bit of a better track record so far this split. So as far as I'm concerned, they're the favourites, and that's why they get my vote.
Toxic, as always. Now let's jump over to page number 2, see how Nat has gone. All right, everyone's got a Peace
yeah,
today. So,
it's a pretty clean sweep on the Peace side.
Yeah, Peace.
Yeah.
And
I think just a win for Mammoth come in a different form, if that makes sense. It isn't necessarily taking the overall game win. I think there's just certain ways to play. Like you know, Violet talks about how they're going to be placing a lot of wards and they're going to be targeting Gudo a lot. So now, like, Mammoth having that information, that's what they're going to be looking out for, kind of adapting to that and kind of really working with what they have right now, I think is going to be their quote-unquote win.
okay, well, I want to see if any of you three are even going to get close to Rusty for the rest of the season. He's about 10 points ahead of some of us, maybe even 20 in front of me right now. So Twitch chat, I just want you to know that you haven't done your job. And next season, I may just have to take the reins back from those predictions, all right? Because I don't like it when you get my predictions wrong. And I've been putting my faith in you. I thought you had it. I was born in the Twitch chat. I was bred in the Twitch chat. I put my faith in the Twitch chat. And this is how you treat me. Anyway, who cares? It's fine. Whatever. I don't even care. I'm not even worried. I'm just joking, guys. It's really just all a big joke. Now, let's have a look head-to-head at the bot lane, at these ADCs, and see what the difference is in terms of the numbers. So, quickly, what we were doing yesterday was looking at the players first before actually looking at those numbers there. So, Jubes, tell me, which do you like better? Are you happy with Frost, just the folded arms going full basic, or do you like Violet with the sideways guns?
I don't mind Violet's pose there, to be honest with you. I feel like the crossing of the arms is kind of meta now, right? It needs to be nerfed and phased out in 11-16. So when we go to the new patch, we'll probably see more of Violet's posing. But in terms of the numbers here, Mac and Mate, relatively similar. I mean, it's not what we expect when we think about Violet. We don't expect him to have a similar KDA to that of Frost. You know, less of a damage share, but I will say Frost has been had the luxury of playing Kog'Maw Lulu quite a few times, where I don't think Violet has necessarily had that. He's been on more so the Ezreal, the Varus, and things where, you know, the whole composition doesn't necessarily revolve around you. But yeah, I mean, if you just look at it in terms of pure stats, pure numbers, these teams probably look like, at least in the AD carry department, they're not too far apart. They're not worlds away, which I guess is a very big surprise.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
But
I guess, but
Frost has probably been the shining light, right? Like for this Mammoth team. You know, when we talk about the Mammoth lineup, we say, yeah, Frost has probably been their best player, and Goodo. So, you know, testament to how he's been playing this year.
I think you definitely have to like remove the average damage to objectives, right? You can't really compare those ones because just overall Mammoth have taken less objectives. It's just going to happen when you're not winning as many games as Peace. So I think they are really surprisingly more close than I even expected.
Okay, well, something else that you guys at home might not be expecting is getting to vote on your favorite food coming out of DoorDash. So if you want to let us know, please head on over to lco.gg/favefood. I'm sure there'll be a link in the chat with the proper spelling because you can spell fave many different ways. However, jump on over there, tell us exactly what your favorite food is. There's many options. I might have voted in it more than once. Hopefully you guys don't do that. Don't get any ideas. And then there could be a couple of sneaky discounts coming up soon for all of our LCO fans. So make sure you stay posted and you keep coming back to watch the show. And maybe we could get some more of those codes in chat. Hey, marketing guys, I think everyone really liked that. So continue to watch the show, and DoorDash will love you as much as you guys love DoorDash. Now it's time for me to have dinner. So I'm going to skedaddle out of here because game number 1 is ready.
Looking forward to it, and I think I should just clarify it's Fave with an E. I did go and try and find the site. I wrote Fave without an E, and then I wrote Fave with an E, and the one with the E took me to the right place, I think, Juice. So, yeah, maybe for everyone that's having trouble, if that isn't posted in chat, there you go. Mammoth and Peace, though, what have we got here? I mean, there's a bit of a discussion, right, that we've just been having about that bot lane. Looks like it's close on paper. I'm not sure that that's necessarily going to be the case in this game.
Well, the thing is that I want to look at quickly, is that the Syndra being picked up, potentially, this early on, and Frost having that Ziggs blinder that he had, is says to me that we may not even get that traditional bot lane matchup. We may not even get, I guess, what we're expecting when we see a Violet, Aladoric, Frost, Shinky, what we've come to know. So what I wanted to touch on was it's just going to maybe be a whole different dynamic than what we're used to.
Well, maybe that's going to be a good thing. Maybe that's going to be a bad thing. I'm not sure what Peace would really like to get out of this matchup, right? Because they're once again sort of bringing in a new roster. You got the Viego picked up straight away. I mean, that could go to any number of players, but you know, we've seen it for the jungle, we've seen it for Tally, obviously more so in the top lane rather than in the mid lane. But hey, whatever works, I guess.
I think it's got to be a statement game, right? If you're Peace, like I said, I don't even think it matters what roster you play. Like, you have to make a statement. Has to be a clean. It can be as long as you like, because there's games that are extremely clean that you win in 35 minutes and the opposition had no chance whatsoever. You're just milking dragons, like taking barons, and you're just rotating and you end up with every turret. But I really want to see Peace just have that game, and just have one where it's like, oh, they're back. You know, they're going to make playoffs and they're going to be a Cinderella run.
Well, they might just get that. I mean, again, like I said, it sort of feels like their destiny is in their own hands with this matchup today. A game that you'd expect that they should win. I mean, you're looking at the likes of Legacy and Gravitas having to play Direwolves and Chiefs later on this evening. So, of the 3 matches that quote-unquote matter for that 5th playoff spot today, at the very least, Peace almost definitely should be winning their match against Mammoth. And then for Legacy and Gravitas, you'd say maybe they should be losing. At least they're not the favorites going into those 2 matches. Then you've got Peace playing Legacy on the first day of next week as well. So for Peace, as far as the run into the end of the split is concerned, it definitely could be a lot worse than it is, and they can at least, you know, put their best foot forward and, as we've hoped, I guess, make their way into playoffs. But say the same for Legacy and Gravitas, and we'll get to that when we do get to those matches. A few more picks coming through here. Obviously, the Kai'Sa of note. Violet did really like Kai'Sa last split. Definitely was a champion that he liked to get himself on, so no surprises there. Leona down in the bot lane there as well for Aladoric, another champion that we saw him sort of wielding quite well earlier on in the split, last split as well, and so, you know, not too surprising to see that bot lane duo coming through. A team like Pentiment has had great success with it, so why would Violet and Aladoric not be able to do the same?
No, 100%, and I actually like that they picked it in the third pick here, because now what they're doing is they're just targeting supports. They're just targeting support picks that they don't want to play against. So like the most common one is the Braum. You're able to really just deny the engage from the Leona in the laning phase and pretty much at all points of the game. They're taking away the Alistar as well, because Alistar just zones the AD carry when Leona goes in, right? Just punts the Kai'Sa away, and then you ultimately just end up focusing down one person. So interesting to me is that they actually opted in for the Syndra, but then they banned the Rise, because Syndra actually has a very decent time into the Rise in the early game, right? And I thought that this was just a piece strategy, you know, Tally, new to the mid lane, has just opted in for like the Rise type champion, pretty much like every time it's been open. So you can almost just win draft, or at least win your lanes from knowing what piece they're going to do. And I think it genuinely just comes down to not being fresh in that role, right? Like Tally's been practicing top laners all split. But
well, the Gragas pick here, I would have to hazard a guess, would be going down into bot as the support. Not necessarily the worst pickup against the Leona. You have the ability to cancel the Zenith Blade if you get a nice belly charge. You know, a bit of a belly slap in there, and that could be quite useful in keeping Kudo alive. Also, a lot of, you know, disengage tools with the explosive casting, etc., etc. So it fulfills a similar role to what you might have expected to see through from something like an Alistar or a Braum. But with the set pick, does that throw a bit of a curveball in? Because I know you seem a little bit surprised by that one.
Well, it does, because you flex both ways now, in the sense that the Gragas can be top lane, set can be support. But I think that if you have Gragas top, you know, you have double AP solo lanes. And when you're running something like the Syndra, at times having another like AP source, whether that's top or jungle, can be kind of your own demise, right? Because then Merc trades become so efficient, and Syndra starts to fall off a lot earlier if people build like, you know, early magic resistance. So you want to kind of keep her as the, I guess, sole AP threat in most cases. So it looks like, initially at least, that will be the case. And well, I'm interested to see how Zayster goes in this matchup, right? You know, how is he going to fare into Tally? You know, Tally opting in for the Akali in this side of the matchup. You know, I don't think we'll sugarcoat it. He had a bit of a rough first game in the LCO. Now his nerves, you'd have to say, are kind of better under control. And he's going to have Kudo playing around his lane, right? Like the Lee Sin, the Syndra, very volatile 2v2, very good into the Akali. And we'll have to see how they operate in the early game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was kind of the point that I was trying to get across as well when we were talking about Mammoth a little bit earlier on, in that if this is the direction that they want to go with the team in splits to come, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world to sort of get these nerves out of the way in matches that, quote-unquote, don't matter for Mammoth, right? They matter in a sense that for Peace, there's a huge amount on the line here. They could make it into playoffs. Obviously, Mammoth can, you know, spoil that a little bit. But as far as Mammoth is concerned, even if they were to win the rest of the split, you know, they're not going to playoffs. No. So for him, I don't think there's a huge amount of pressure on his shoulders. You're going up against a storied player like Tally. If you come into this matchup and get absolutely decimated, you know, no one's necessarily going to begrudge you, because that was more or less the expectation from the outset. But, you know, come next split, that's where things are going to start to look a bit more interesting for Mammoth, if they, you know, are able to keep this roster together and look towards the split in that fashion. Either way, obviously, we've been talking a lot about Mammoth. I think the majority of the storylines around this game in particular should be focused on Peace. It's a must-win game for them. Almost every game left in the split is a must-win for them, and they really need to get a bit of momentum built going into those playoffs if they were to even make the playoffs, because right now it's a very different looking piece to the piece that we saw going into playoffs last split.
I do believe as well, actually, fun fact, that the only game Peace have won in the last round robin is against Mammoth, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, if there was a game where you, like you said, that they're going to get confidence from, it probably is going to be this one. But more importantly, I think it's important to see how, I guess, these lanes interact, how everyone interacts on Summoner's Rift, because you can win just from being better players. You can win just from Tally, you know, outlaning Zystar or Lisa, you know, our jungling Gudo, whatever way you want to go down this roster and say that they could win, they probably have like the upper hand. But for me, what's most important is how is Aladoric linking up with Lisa out of lane? You know, what is their Rift Herald rotation like, and things of that nature.
Well, I suppose there's a bunch of questions that you have, Juice, so hopefully I can find some answers for you. We've got Jalal here for the coach interview. He's from the Mammoth side of things. Jalal, it's been a little while since I spoke to you, and it's actually been a little while since we spoke to you in general, at least since the addition of Zystar. So I think that's where I kind of want to start things off here. You know, him coming into the mid lane for Wei, you know, what's the thought process behind that? Is this a long-term move? Are you looking towards next split? Or is this, you know, just sort of playing around with your roster, seeing what you can get done?
Yeah, it's more of a long-term move. I think like we just want to play with people that, you know, are coachable and actually want to learn. And so I think Zystar fits that role. He might not be the best right now, but he'll definitely improve.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're looking forward to it and seeing how he goes, you know, not only in this game, but throughout, you know, potentially next split if he's still here and all that sort of goes to plan. What about the roster changes on the Peace side of things? Does that change much up for you? We've got Aladoric coming back down into the bot lane and, you know, that's obviously a big talking point, I think. So is that something that you guys are, you know, a little bit worried about, or is it not a huge concern?
I think we were pretty worried about this roster. I think it's the strongest roster, and I think they want to show the LCO that they can still make playoffs.
Awesome, and we'll definitely be looking forward to seeing how the bot lane does play out. Speaking of the bot lane, I want to touch on the Gragas pick. It seemed like you guys kind of got forced into a little bit of a corner there with the Braum ban coming through. I think it was an Alistair ban as well coming from Peace in the second rotation, and you yourselves had banned away Thresh. So, you know, what do you think of this Gragas pick? Was that, like I said, maybe being forced into a corner?
Yeah, we were sort of forced into this. I don't think it's too bad. It has enough disengage. We have the exhaust, so I feel like if we can peel off for their failures and we have enough disengage tools, it should be okay.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it still certainly fills that same role. So hopefully it's going to go well for you boys. Jalal, thank you very much for the interview and wish you the best of luck.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Well, interesting that we're talking about that exhaust as it does get used down in the bot lane there, Juves. Already won someone an advantage down the bot side of the map. Nectar gets a bit of an advantage up in top. Appy having a rough time.
Yeah, he's going to have to go home and burn his teleport really early in this lane. But level 1, what happened when you were on the coach's interview was they level 1 late invaded, or not even late invaded, but Gudo started the red buff and they run back down to his red. So he's got a little lead in terms of jungle camps, but he needs to be able to pick them up, right? Like this is very heads up from Lisa. He knows that Gudo crossed mid, went to the red buff to deny it. So he ultimately actually loses nothing here if he's able to pick this one up. This is very smart.
Yeah, 2 red buffs go to the Lee Sin and 2 blue buffs go to Viego.
I don't know which one I would prefer.
Which one? Red buff?
Yeah, for sure. And he doesn't have smite for this crab now, right? Neither does Gudo, but Lee Sin's going to win this 1v1. Especially because he has priority both in top and mid lane.
Well,
wait, he can't get over the wall. I don't know why.
I think he's just trying to fake him out in a sense, right? Just hide inside there for the moment.
But he shouldn't. I don't know. I feel like he shouldn't have got juked there. I mean, yeah, the range of seeing Viego in his stealth is really tiny. So maybe Gudo gave him the benefit of the doubt and thought that he crept out of Dragon Pit, but there's no mobility to get out over the wall besides the flash.
Yeah, I suppose you just sit there at the opening and press your E button when you think that he might be trying to get past you.
Yeah.
And you spot him, but either way, not too much going to come from it. Gudo does manage to end up getting the crab, so he probably gets what he wants out of that exchange anyway. And does manage to sort of keep up to date with the jungle farm. Up in the top lane, it looks like Appy has been able to sort of come back into the swing of things, right? And he's back to where he needs to be in terms of the CS. Did have to force the teleport out early, but Nectar's also used his, so not too much of an advantage up there. And as far as the bot lane is concerned, I'll hold that thought for a moment because Gudo looks like he might be getting ready to make something happen here. Appy does have flash available, but that's a very nice lockdown from Nectar. This is going to result in a lot of damage onto Appy, and it will force his flash out now as well as the reset. Bearing in mind, again, he doesn't have teleport here, so that is going to be a little bit more of a difficult one this time.
Yeah, that's huge. So he's going to get a bigger lead top side of the map. No flash onto the Renekton. Renekton's one of those champions too that really needs to, and I'd say this is like an absolute minimum, cannot operate from behind, right? Like needs to at least be even. At least be even. And even then, like you're going to get out team fought by the set, right? In all instances, especially if the set's ahead. So very good early signs for Mammoth. They're targeting, what I would call the correct lane. because they're happy for Frost and Shinky to just go even with Violet and Aladoric, right? Because Aphelios, if he's able to pick up 2-3 items, it's going to do much of, 200 years of damage. So if you had to really put a lane behind, it would have to be topside. Maybe dip your head into mid lane, try and put Tally at a deficit, but maybe they'll wait till level 6 till they do that, because Tally is 10 CS ahead as well.
Yeah. And I did want to touch on the bot lane, so I'm glad we've sort of headed down in that direction, because, again, there was a fair bit of talk about this area of the map. I think all eyes on Aladoric coming back into the LCO, back into Peace. There was a few people questioning, was he the player that needed to be removed from Peace? Was Aladoric the problem? And I guess now we're going to get to see whether or not he's going to be able to have that big impact coming back into a very, very struggling roster. So far, I'd have to say so good for Mammoth. I mean, Frost is farming along quite nicely. There is the engage. It's on to Shinky. Gudo's here, but they're just going to delete that Gragas. And no chance for Gudo to do anything.
And I feel like that passage of play is Mammoth's season, or split, or I guess if you want to call 2 splits a season, sure. But it's in a nutshell, right? In the sense that they knew Lisa was there. They were baiting for the gank. Like that was a bait. They knew Gudo was close enough to counter gank, but they just don't know the numbers well enough. And it's like those 1%ers that at times get Mammoth punished so hard, because this turns into a dragon, turns into a free reset for Violet. He has an item now, or the components of his first item, and he's going to come back to this lane and be even stronger. And again, it's so unacceptable to die to a gank in that fashion, where you're baiting. You're baiting for your jungler. You know that Lisa's there.
Well, it's an unfortunate start for Mammoth. That said, to wait and see what Gudo can get done elsewhere on the map, because he, I think similar to what we were talking about in the top lane, but the reverse, right? Where you probably wouldn't want to be a Renekton playing from behind. Well, in this Lee Sin versus Viego matchup, you definitely don't want to be the Lee Sin playing from behind, because ultimately Viego is going to have a lot more impact later on in the game than you are. Here comes Aladoric for a big roam. Shinky is there as well. In fact, he was the focus of fire. And nothing really going to come from both supports leaving the bottom side of the map. They'll start to head their way back in the direction of their AD carries. Frost rejoin the lane.
Nothing specifically came of it that's noticeable in the immediate. However, it is a resource chunk, right? The Syndra had to burn through the corrupt things, and we might even see a fight here. Lisa's level 6.
Gudo definitely in a spot of bother here. We'll be able to ward hop over the wall and gets out to relative safety. Lisa still kind of on the chase, but spots out a ward, a bit more interested to pick up that little bit of freebie gold. And so Gudo gets out of there. We'll look for the Scuttle Crab as well. Definitely needing this level 6 so he can get that Dragon's Rage available, and now does have that.
This is going to be probably a 2v2 here, right? Appy's the one that's calling for this gank, and it's just going to be countered by Gudo.
Well, Nectar certainly doing his best to keep Appy locked up. They know Lisa is close by. They might be able to deal with the Renekton quickly enough, but it looks like the Sonic Wave just went off into the wilderness. Nectar does manage to trade down, but it's a 2-for-1. Lisa will say thanks very much for that one. Couple of kills onto the Viego, and that might be all she wrote for Mammoth.
Yeah, I mean, that's really hard to break down, Hellfish. Like, you understand what Gudo was going for, but it's just execution again. Again, the story of the split. The execution just leaves a little bit to be desired, and now all of a sudden the Viego's picked up a kill, and or picked up 2 kills, rather.
Yeah.
So see the replay here.
Let's see this, yeah.
He flashes because the minions are blocking the Q, right?
Yeah.
He wants to basically use the flash to 100% confirm the hit, but one of those statements, it's like, I feel like if we put Gudo in that situation, 9 times out of 10, he's able to land it. He's able to nail it. Maybe even 10 times out of 10. And this was just the anomaly of like the universe just working in mysterious ways where it's just missed.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, isn't it? Because that definitely would have resulted in a kill onto Appy. And then it's a 2-on-1 versus Lisa. Zeister forced to flash. Again, Aladoric being very, very mobile around the map. You can see obviously Violet walked with him at this time. But, Aladoric, I feel like he's a player that does like to sort of be involved in and around the map, and we're starting to see that impact come through. Not something, I think, that we got quite so much from some of the other players that filled the support role for Peace in the interim.
Oh, definitely. We're already seeing, the flash burn mid. That's you know, the Syndra is good as dead on next cooldown, right? Like he's pinging his Leona ultimate next time around, and you know that's a dead man walking. So gonna have to play this lane extremely safe, and then you know if Zista decides not to walk up again, and if he decides to just play from range and not die, then he's just gonna fall down in CS even further, and he's already down I think what 20-30 CS in a hole at 10 minutes. What has been, if I'm being honest, Elfish, it's been relatively untouched. Like he was losing the mid lane farm in isolation. So again, credit to Tally, but not what you want to be seeing when you're playing something like Syndra. Syndra isn't the type of champion like the Orianna where if maybe you're down 5-10 CS in lane, you're okay because you're going to play for team fights and scale. Like Syndra really wants to control the mid jungle 2v2, wants to really...
Oh. A little bit going on in the top lane. Dominus is forced out by Appy. Nectar trying to escape, but he's gone back the wrong way. There was nowhere to go. He didn't have flash available, and so essentially just wastes his ultimate. Doric is back. Solar Flare doesn't quite connect properly, but the flash Zenith Blade will, and Tally has just enough damage to execute Zyster.
Oh,
Here comes the attempted trade from Gudo. But as always, Lisa is there, ready and waiting. Tally flashes forward this time. An explosive cask will push him back into tower range, and Shinky picks up the only kill that will head in the direction of Mammoth from that exchange. But again, a 2-for-1, and that's favorable for Peace.
Yeah, and it's exactly what we talked about, right? Next Leona ultimate cooldown. He's just going to walk mid, use the ultimate, burns the flash to get in range for the Zenith Blade. But, you know, it's just one of those things again where Mammoth are just second to the punch. Rotating, 5 seconds late. Because if Shinky's there, maybe they turn that one around, but you know, 5 seconds too late to the play, Peace are just too good, and they'll punish you for it.
Yep. Fortunate, but it is what it is, and Mammoth are going to have to try and deal with it. There is going to be a dragon going over to Peace here as well. There isn't much in the ways of trade for Mammoth to look for. Rift Herald is not available, obviously, already having been picked up by Lisa. So just every objective going the way of Peace at the moment. The kills also favoring them.
Well, it's... Sorry?
Oh, I was going to say, and one of the kills that Mammoth have picked up as well has gone on to Shinky as well. So it's not, it's not even like the gold is going over to the champions that you really need it on.
Yeah, and I mean, just to, I guess, rub salt into the wounds, because why not? It's not even like there's a lane that's winning. They're all down in farm as well. And I mean, it just looks really grim, right? You know, it's a 3k lead at 12 minutes, and this is going to balloon out even further with these turret plates that go over to Violet. And, you know, that's all for him.
Yeah, it makes it very difficult, I think, for Gudo in particular, right? He wants to try and make things happen as the early game jungler. And, I mean, the one that's making things happen at the moment is Aladoric. Another roam. Forces out the flash from Frost, that maybe this gets turned back on its head. Aladoric does eventually fall down, finds his first death of the game. So maybe just a little bit overeager this time. But you know, it's at the cost of a flash and a cleanse from Frosts, and that's going to be something that Peace is aware of, and they'll be able to utilize later on in the, for lack of a better word, Peace. Anyway.
Well, Tally's here. TP.
Tally wants to get out of here as well, I think. He's going to manage to do so, but Appy might not quite be so lucky. Does have the Dominus available, so can get that big injection of HP. Explosive cask doesn't quite land onto Appy, and that was the target that he wanted. Mammoth waving the white flag. Might not be the worst of metaphors at this point in time.
Yeah, they burn a lot of resources to get to that play too. Like the Syndra teleport is a pretty big one, is a significant one. The one thing I wanted to touch on before that though was that, you know, even though Peace lose out on that trade that they made, you know, near the Raptor camp in the mid lane, diving a little bit too deep, that's what you want to see. You want to see them have the confidence to make those plays, particularly how their last few weeks have been. Like, you're not mad at that. You VOD review that, you say, okay, we shouldn't have made that play, it didn't have priority mid, didn't have the whole team there, whatever. You know, however you want to phrase it or whatever the correct play was, you're just happy that we're seeing some of the old school Peace aggression.
Starting to feel a little bit more like what we got out of Split 1. Just looking to farm up here. I'm not sure that he wants to take this fight against Tally, though there is a bit of a rotation coming in from his teammates. Shinky hanging around near the blue buff is now spotted on a ward. Aladoric again, like just looking at his positioning, he's always sort of floating around in the mid lane, and I think that is what you want to be doing as a support, especially in a game like this. Here's another one. Solar Flare lands perfectly, and Leona is a balanced champ sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, no flash, no cleanse. You said it. That's what they. That's kind of the deposit in the bank that they got earlier, right?
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of top lane, we did say Nectar doesn't really want to fight Tally, and that's the exact reason why. He's just going to be forced away from that tower, and he might not even survive here. Violet will be gifted the kill. There was nothing there. Nectar, everything on cooldown, so he couldn't do a damn thing about it.
He's just as good as dead there, and I mean, Summoner's Rift is just in a total collapse. They don't have any access to any jungle camps, right? It's just kind of being picked up across the board from all sides of Peace. The I guess 2 camps that Guro are going to get now are instant respawns, and that's on the back timings of Peace. But I mean, if we had to analyze this game, I mean, it's just Peace playing the map extremely well, you know, and it is off the back of Aladoric looking for these flanks, looking for these dives, and it's probably what they've missed in recent weeks, right? Like he's actually diving behind turrets when 2 of them are still up, and he's really not giving Mammoth any time to breathe.
Yeah, nor is Lisa. Seems like Lisa's been having a pretty good time in the jungle. Always in the right place at the right time, and that's exactly what you want to see. Another Solar Flare on top of Frost's, and that is enough for Violet to just send it. Explosive Cast will not keep him alive, and so Frost's falls once again. So, you know, I keep going back to that quote-unquote missed kill for Peace, where it forced the flash and the cleanse out. Well, okay, in that little passage of play, now that cleanse has just come back up again, great timing, by the way, from Peace, it's still 2 kills overall that Aladoric has managed to get on Frost for the one that they got back on him by virtue of that cleanse being down. So, hashtag worth.
Yeah, I mean, if you could predict that far into the future when those types of things happen, then sure. Maybe you should be playing in some futuristic league because you're a little bit too good at the game.
Yeah.
But you know, there's probably we could, you know, it's what do we want to do? Do we want to be harsh on Mammoth or do we want to praise Peace? I guess we can do both.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm always on the side of generally tending to try to praise the things that are going well, and I think, you know, I mean, I'm looking at it from the perspective of Peace, and I'm saying everything is pretty much going exactly the way that we want it to. Violet is strong enough now to do whatever he wants solo. He's not going to be dying. Aladoric doesn't need to babysit him. That means that Aladoric can work in unison with Lisa, who's also having a great time in that jungle, and you've got this 2-man roaming death squad running around, finding Nectar, finding Zyster, finding Frosts, and doing what they do best.
And just the way that they're moving as a team, like the roaming death squad is what we're kind of happy to see, right? You know, they're just controlling one side of the jungle. Look at all that vision. Look how deep all of that vision is. Yes, the gold leader is allowing them to play like that, but I mean, Guro is literally on farming enemy jungle duty while they're losing turrets. Like, it's the only thing that he can do. He can't really make plays because the vision control that Peace have got has just completely... Yeah, you hate to see that.
Yeah. That's rubbing salt into the wound.
Yeah. Stiff Freeze puts that turret to sleep next time around.
Well, guess what ability is back? It's the Solar Flare. Looks like Aladoric is a little bit more interested in going back to base.
Cleanse is up though.
That's true, but Zyster doesn't have cleanse.
No, he's going to have a roughie. Flash is up. He can flash it once.
Yep. Plenty of targets, really. I think at this point in time, I think you can put that Solar Flare on anyone and they die.
Oh,
if
100%.
They don't have flash.
100%. I mean, Nectar's not a tank, right? Like he's sort of got a tanky build. Like it's a bruiser build, but just because of Set's kit, I guess you could kind of label him a tank in terms of how durable he is sometimes. But
yeah, I think that's definitely fair point. But at this point in time, it's unfair to say that he is a tank. Because you just saw how easily, even a few minutes ago, Tally up in that top lane was able to deal with the Set. Just chucking those shurikens down and the daggers, I suppose, and there really wasn't a whole lot that Nectar could do about it. Like, he was losing, a quarter of his HP every single time he tried to trade with Tally, and 20, 30 seconds later, he's forced away from the tower. So
he probably has no magic resist as well, right? Like, he's taking armor because he's laning into the Renekton.
I actually, funny that you mentioned that. I've had a quick look, and he does actually have 0 bonus magic resist.
Yeah, so he's just getting shredded by the Akali. And I mean, might see a pick.
Here goes Aladoric again. This will be a Zenith Blade angle for sure. Solar Flare does go down. We got the explosive cask out of Shinky, so overall, a relatively fair exchange of ultimates. But when you consider Solar Flare has a 40-second cooldown, or a 40-second shorter cooldown than the explosive cask, again, I'm going to call that worth.
Definitely worth. And I was going to say that we might see the game fall into a state where nothing really happens because there's no turrets that you're strong enough to take at this point. Like, it's very easy to wave clear on your tier 2 turrets. And I thought we might see Peace just play the minion wave game where they just bounce waves and trade farm until either Soul comes up or Baron spawns. But what I'm loving is that they're not actually resting on their laurels. They're just still trying to end the game as quick as possible. They're looking for picks in jungle. They're looking to hit tier 2 turrets. They're not just saying, yeah, we'll wait for Soul. And, you know, this is probably, if we have to give a lot of credit to the man, first game back, it's probably down to Aladoric, right? Like, he seems to be where all of the plays are happening and the big point of difference.
I think he is definitely a tempo setter for Peace in this game.
Look at him.
Whether or not it's just him solely or whether or not there's some more calls coming through from the rest of the squad, having Violet back probably also helps quite a lot because you have this solid ADC presence that you know Aladoric is going to be able to get away with sort of leaving him a little bit unaided in some instances. And overall, I mean, it just seems like it's a return to form for Peace that we've been waiting for a little while. But I definitely have to agree with you. I think it's looking good, and I would put a lot of that on Aladoric's shoulders, and maybe that is the support bias showing through, but I'm just looking at the way that he's playing this, and I'm thinking, if I'm a support, like, everything that he's doing is exactly what you want to be happening. Like, this is almost a perfect support game, with the exception of maybe that overextension going on to the Flash Cleanse. But he's all over the map. He's causing issues everywhere. He's making life hell for Frosts. He's cooked Zeister's lane, so you can't really ask for much more.
Yeah, well, support's a jungle 2.0, right? Like, in competitive play, they spend a good portion of the game with their jungler, right? Obviously, you think of the AD carry in tandem with the support, but at a certain point, you know, when you've looked after the Bambi AD carry for so long, they're very self-sufficient. They just plonk themselves in a lane, farm minion waves, and then you just see the jungler and the support link up. Like, they're really the dynamic duo. And that's kind of why we're seeing Lisa have such a good game too, right?
Yep.
And it's just that dynamic duo, and there might be a fight.
It might be. Tally does get baited to go in onto Nectar, but who really is the one getting baited at this point in time? Mammoth, they thought they had the catch. They thought they were going to get Tally, but instead he turns it back on its head, gets himself a double. The white flag comes up once again from Shinky, but that is not stopping Tally. It looks like Peace will finally be able to break the base with those couple of kills. And the first inhibitor of the day will go down.
That's a 22-minute inhibitor that falls down. And again, this is mind you, I just saw Frost. I thought I was seeing things, by the way. I was like, wait, where did Frost go? I thought he died in that exchange, and he's just farming Raptors on the other side of the map and red buff.
I mean, you got to get what you can, right?
I mean, they've got the red buff respawn on lockdown at least. And the replay here is just no magic resistance set. 2 levels down, getting shredded by Tally. And it's just a 3v5, right? And it's just a 5-man death squad apiece.
Yep.
When you have this much of a gold lead, there's really not that much to break down. This is just gold diff. Yes, they're playing the map well. They're not leaving themselves exposed. Like, no one on Peace is getting picked. But it's just so hard for Mammoth to stay in their 1v1s. They can barely push their lanes out to assemble any control of the game because they're just so far behind from how well Peace have played the early game. And now the worst inhibitor in the game when Baron buff is up is the bot lane inhib, because you need to keep someone bot side to stop the super minions from pushing. And at this point, the Syndra and the Set aren't strong enough to clear the wave quick enough, right? So you're kind of in this damned if you do, damned if you don't. They're going to start the Baron buff, and you're ultimately just going to lose it. Soul as well, by the way.
Yeah. More vision getting cleared out as well. So again, Mammoth, just as they start to get a little bit of semblance of control inside their own jungle, are forced away once again. You have Zeister down in bot. He's got TP available. I think you have to go for the Hail Mary here, surely, as Mammoth. They have to try and make something happen, because if you let this Baron go down, that's the game over. And they might have just got themselves a catch. The steal didn't quite come through for Goodo, so it's not all good news for Mammoth. But maybe, just maybe, they can do enough in this fight. We'll see what happens. Aladoric dives into the middle of the pack. Lisa doing a bit of work in the back line, but at the moment, Peace are actually getting shredded by Mammoth. Tally, Zonya inside all 5. Lisa looking for those resets, and this is where we could see things start to turn. It's a 2-on-4, and Peace, Violet and Lisa make it work. It looked so good for a moment for Mammoth, but you just waited patiently for those resets to come through for Lisa. You knew that this Viego was going to get work done if the opportunity arose, and he has been able to do so. Nectar surely will not be able to get out of this one alive. Lisa, I think, playing with his food at this point in time.
Yeah, what's he doing? What's he? Oh, the PGG flare coming out of Lisa there. He's just stalling depth timers. That's what he's doing here, because they want to get to this top wave while Nectar's dead. Like, this isn't like he's not trolling. I guess he's trolling because he's got him pretty low. But in terms of now, they have the time to push mid lane.
Yeah,
no top
there's
laner.
another 40 seconds.
Yeah, and top lane. So you see the assistance things. So I just want to clarify. Like, he's obviously, some people might see that, view that, and think, okay, you know, a little bit of trolling. But no, it was to stall base timing so that they could get this next push off.
Very smart. Not something you see all that often. Gudo has been spotted out. Another nice solar flare from Aladoric. The Warhawk just about saves Gudo. But Shinky's in a bit of a problem right now. He, as you say, is not a tank, despite having that locket. And he's going to be deleted. Mincemeat, really, for Peace.
Yeah, and it's just clockwork now, right? You know, they're going to rotate to the mid lane when they get that wave. 2 inhibitors down. Baron buff on 1 member. He's actually just gone in for the cheeky 1v3 crisis view. There's no minions here, and they're just taking the turret.
Why not?
Sure.
The players that can tank it up.
Yep.
You're so powerful, so strong at the moment. Violet's doing a lot of damage. 6-0 and 4 has hit that 300 CS mark at 26 minutes. So he's got the 3 items completed, plus the stopwatch. He's feeling supreme. Is it an ultra-Violet performance? I mean, probably not. Like, I think there's still another level that Violet can get to. But it's certainly been a very, very good performance from Violet. He hasn't had to do much, and I think that's the ideal world when you're an AD carry, right? You're just sort of along for the ride, you're picking up kills here and there, and then it gets to 25, 30 minutes, and you're actually a monster. So
yeah,
take a look back at this replay where things look almost great for Mammoth, right? If Gudo gets that steal, I wonder, does this pan into something else?
I think it does. I think if Gudo gets that steal, you know, that's probably the difference. Obviously, the Infernal Soul doesn't help, right? Maybe if they don't have the Infernal Soul, then they genuinely just clean this team fight up. Frost plays it extremely well on the back end here. He's done so much damage, but the Violet diff in this fight was just a little bit too big, right? He gets the Kai'Sa ult onto the AD carry, and I mean, if Kai'Sa's ulting you and you're in a 1v1, you're definitely not winning that.
You just lose.
Yeah.
Like going against a Vayne who ults right onto you as an ADC. There's really not much you can do about it. And this might be the final throes of death for Mammoth in the game, as Aladoric once again finds a Zenith Blade connection, and the rest of the team will follow up. Showstopper from Nectar to try to survive, but it's already a triple kill for Tally, and there really isn't much more to get done here. Shinky in the base, as we see the Nexus falling, and it is indeed justice for Aladoric as Peace find their first win since week 5.
It's good to see smiles on the board, right? It's good to see them, you know, having... Yeah, there we go. There's a smile coming on through. So it's never nice to see a team go through a little bit of a rough patch, but looks like they found their form, they found their feet with this roster, and they're the man on that screen there, has had a very, very good game.
Yeah, indeed. The one thing that I will say is, you know, you mentioned a little bit earlier on, their win in week 5 was actually against Mammoth, so... Yep. The last win and the most recent win that Peace have actually come against Mammoth. And, I mean, it was a good game from Peace. They really sort of dictated how that game played out. There was no point in time where I thought that Mammoth was going to be able to come away with the win. But let's be real, it's a win against Mammoth, right? So, as far as Peace is concerned, it's a nice start, but we really need to see what we're going to get from them next week before, you know, we count our chickens, right?
Yeah, and that's the one thing I wanted to say, not in-game though, was that it is only against Mammoth, right? Not to kick a team when they're down, but we definitely want to see them against better opposition because, you know, if you want to call a spade, Mammoth are 1-17. So it's a nice kind of look, nice little insight, but it's not the whole picture.
All right, Mac, get you back in here as well so you can give us your thoughts. It seems like a pretty good day at the office for Peace.
Yeah, it seemed pretty solid, you know, getting the W on the board and finally starting to get a bit of confidence back is something that Peace needed to make this run into the playoffs. And they needed this win probably more than every of the other teams today, only because, of course, it is against Mammoth. If they lost this game, I feel like the mental might have been past booming and be just gone for the rest of the split. But they are still here, and it seems like you know, part of it was Aladoric just jumping around, moving around, and setting up a whole lot of those early kills. But it seemed like one of those games where Peace just got that really early lead, and they were just never too worried about it. Yeah, it got a little bit scary at that dance at the Baron just towards the end. But other than that, I personally, watching that, was never worried. Thought Peace looked very good as a team at getting this W on the board. And look, I can't complain about that one. Mammoth, hopefully they can find a bit more success going towards the end of the regular season. But for now, it's all about Peace. All eyes on this team. And this is what they needed to do today.
Yeah, I mean, I think you put it pretty well during Champ Select, Juves, when you said that this kind of needed to be a statement game from Peace. And I think it has been. But what I want to do is go a step deeper and say I think it needed to almost be a statement game from Aladoric, right? Coming back into this roster, everyone was sort of expecting big things, I suppose, and he certainly delivered. So, you know, it's obviously not going to show up there on the damage charts. You don't really tend to get too much of that when you are the Leona. But hey, he did a lot of work. He was able to really dictate that game alongside Lisa, and overall, it just looked so clean and comfortable for Peace.
Is there a stat we can get that's like CC count? Is that like a
actually would be interesting, wouldn't it? I don't think that exists, does it?
There's a well, at least there used to be a stat like that. There's like a crowd control stat, but you can only see that when you go in game and look at like the post game.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, but if it's in that post game, then it's definitely a stat that exists. Anyway, we could talk about that one later because it would be a pretty interesting stat to have a look at. Someone that does also love stats is Nat, so let's bring Stats Nat back into the conversation. Nat, how'd you find that game?
Yeah, it was really good. I don't think I was ever too worried that Peace would lose that one, and I'm sure they have the same feeling. But I guess one way to find out, and that is to ask them. So I am going to be joined by Aladoric. Congratulations on the win, and also the return to the LCO. How do you feel after that win?
Feels pretty good, to be honest. I haven't played on stage in like such a long time, so it feels good to win.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has been a while since we last saw you. So I guess I want to ask some general questions as well. And that is, how did you feel coming back on to the Peace team? And what have you been doing in the time that you weren't on the LCO in terms of solo queue or practice?
It feels good, but it's a bit nerve-wracking because playoffs isn't actually in our control anymore. So like, if we win 3 games in Gravitas or Legacy win 3 games, we're not in playoffs. So it's like, we're like hoping they lose, pretty much. I've just been playing a lot of solo queue, pretty much. Yeah, I got rank 1 like a month ago.
Nice.
Just spamming solo queue. That's it, really. Watching VODs, stuff like that.
I love to hear that even on the off time where you're relaxing, you're still just spamming the solo queue. With this game, though, I'm going to assume you're in a similar boat with Violet, that you haven't been scrimming too much with the team. But was there anything too surprising coming out of that draft? And how did the drafting phase play out for you guys?
Yeah, we were surprised that they first picked Syndra, and then they broke, like, we thought it could go bot, but they just broke the flex really early. So I guess that was a surprise that they took Syndra first pick. That's it, really. We had the draft we wanted. We're very happy with that draft.
Well, that's good to hear. Down there on the bot lane, you guys weren't looking too shaky at all. But I guess how was the communication coming back to dueling with Violet in that bot lane?
It's just easy. It's just natural. Because we've been playing together since like even last year. We've been doing since last year. So we played a lot together. So it's easy to play with Violet.
Awesome. And last quick question is, I guess the communication throughout the team I guess the way that you guys played, it was very methodical, very calm, very calculated. So who was doing a lot of that in the communication in the team during that game?
There's a bit of everyone, but I'd say it was mainly me and Tally that were like talking the most.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for answering my questions, and congratulations again on the win.
Thank you, Nat.
There you have it. Good to hear from Aladoric. The Doric is back to stay, I'd say. I guess we'll see how the rest of the week goes. But for now, we need to talk about the DoorDash player that delivered. And yes, again, it was the man that was just on your screen, setting Peace up for success. It is the big man Aladoric, putting them dubs up. 2-2 and 12, 66% kill participation, and 43 wards placed. Pretty well done from the mans, and also just allowing that mid laner there to get the big old dubs. That's Tally running it down in a good way, of course. Now, Jubes, do you think Aladoric would love this $100 DoorDash voucher.
I think so. I think most competitive gamers, most gamers,
I think anyone, honestly.
anyone, yeah,
Anyone, yeah.
It was getting so specific. It went from so specific to so broad real quick. But who doesn't love a cheeky little DoorDash voucher? I still haven't received mine. I don't even know if I'm receiving mine, but it's not about me. Aladoric had a blinder. The pressure he put on mid lane, the pressure he exerted all over the map, he was a big reason why they broke so many turrets, and it's a big dub for him.
Yeah, just doing such good work today there down in the bot lane and, well, I guess all across the map. Man's a roaming machine. But of course, we do have a second match to get to now. It is going to be Pentanet and Order as game number 2 of the evening now. All eyes on this one because it is yet another battle for the top of the table. Pentanet are up there and still 1 win in the lead, but let's see if Order is going to be able to change that one. Of course, if you are enjoying all the tunes, exclamation playlist in chat, so you can jump over and have a look at the playlist of all the great Warner music that we've been able to listen to throughout the split so far. But again, there's one more song today, and what is that song? It's Happening Again by Flower Kid, so check this one out, and we'll see you just after the break.
The Tally does get baited to go in onto Nectar, but who really is the one getting baited at this point in time? Mammoth, they thought they had the catch. They thought they were going to get Tally, but instead he turns it back on its head, gets himself a double. They have to try and make something happen because if you let this Baron go down, that's the game over. And they might have just got themselves a catch. The steal didn't quite come through for Goodo, so it's not all good news for Mammoth, but maybe, just maybe they can do enough in this fight. We'll see what happens. Aladoric dives into the middle of the pack. Lisa doing a bit of work in the back line, but the